Once again, session of Hoodies the podcast. Test 1, 2. This is Hoodies. Let's do it, man. Live from the Still Sweet. Yo, coming at you, man. Yeah. Are we back? 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 Word. Peace, I'm the God Rashidi, and I want to thank you for pulling up to another dope episode of Hoodies the Podcast, man. Yeah. Word. Man, listen, man. Hey, first and foremost, shout out to the Seattle Seahawks, man. Hey, listen, that defense was crazy. New England Patriots couldn't fart out there without one of them defenders being all over him, man. I mean, impeccable defense. It was crazy. You know, halftime show was actually decent. I ain't understand none of the words, of course. And I've heard of Bad Bunny. I don't know nothing about his music. I'm gonna be honest with you, it was always something about the name. You know, just starting with the Bunny part. I always thought, what dude would name himself Bunny? And then Bad Bunny. You know, that those were my thoughts, in regards to the name or whatever. But from what I hear, Bad Bunny is a pretty big deal, you know, to a lot of people actually. But I have to admit, although I wasn't familiar with none of his music, the halftime show was decent. And listen, I worked at this Latin, well, I want to say Puerto Rican barbershop, but it wasn't just Puerto Ricans in there, so I called it a Latin barbershop. I worked in there, and listen, when I was in there, yeah, granted, they played merengue and bachata, all that stuff, but there was a hell of a lot of reggaeton, right? So, and then they would play the same reggaeton CD every day, and they played it so much, I actually developed a distaste, you know, to that particular genre of Latin music. But the merengue and all the other stuff, especially Latin jazz, I've always loved that sound, how smooth it felt. And of course, this is derivative of African music. We all know that. And any Afro-Cuban artist or just Afro-Cuban musician, Puerto Rican musician or jazz musician will tell you that. They'll tell you that. So that's not a news flash. But the visuals were dope. I mean, there are a couple things I didn't care too much for. I ain't care too much for the two dudes grinding up against each other, like inside that car door or whatever. I ain't care too much for that, but that probably wasn't for me, right? But the visuals were dope. And listen, if I was a part of Latin America, I would have felt pretty proud. It seems, even though I didn't understand a lick of, the words, well, maybe a couple words, but he seemed to be all inclusive in terms of Latin America, Chile, Puerto Rico, Cuba, all these places, all these Spanish speaking countries, Mexico, even said Canada, and all these various places where Spanish speakers are. If I was a part of Latin America, I would have felt really proud. He seemed like he really put on for Latin America. There was some brown skin to dark skin Latinos up there too. Now, granted, darker peoples of the world tend to not get treated so well. You know what I mean? The dark skinned Puerto Ricans and Cubans and Panamanians and Dominicans and so on and so forth get treated differently than the fair skinned ones. So yeah, but that's also another thing. However, Bad Bunny represented all of Latin America in all different shades. That part of it I thought was pretty dope. The visuals were pretty fly. I ain't even gonna front. So shout out to him for putting on a great show. It's a pretty decent show, man. I ain't gonna front. All the visuals, with the exception of a couple, was decent. So but the game itself, it was one of those things. If you were a Seattle Seahawks fan, you loved it. If you were a New England Patriots fan, you hated it. If you were a fan of neither team and was just looking for a good game, then you were bored. And I get it. The defense was just so solid. New England just couldn't really get off like they wanted to. You know what I mean? So that made for a boring game, unfortunately. But shout out to the Seattle Seahawks on the Super Bowl win. That's all I gotta say about that. Yeah, some of the commercials were cool. In fact, the best commercial was the one with Mike Tyson. He was talking about eating healthy and eating good. That was the best commercial out of all of them shits. You know what I'm saying? Typical for me, right? But yeah, man. Shout out to them. So yeah, man. Today was a decent day. About 55 degrees today. It's been pretty brick. And yeah, I'm from Chicago, so I should be used to the cold. But Virginia don't really get that cold, and if Virginia does hit like the 20s and the teens, it's usually for maybe a week, maybe 2 week stretch, and then it'll get back to 30s, 40s, and 50s. But yo, we've gotten a real winter this year. Again, we had a real one last winter and another one this year. So go on, girl. Go on, girl. Virginia trying to compete with Chicago and New England and the rest of them. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I don't really have much. I think I've talked your head off enough. So let's go ahead and get into this. Shall we? Let's go ahead and do it. Oh, real quick. Black History Month is every month, all 12 months of the year. But once again, salute to our people, man. Happy Black History Month. And let's do it. All right? Yeah! Alright, so I'm not necessarily sure where I want to go with this. Bear with me, I'm gonna get there. So of course I got a story. Right? Always got a story. I got a story. The year is, I want to say 2007, 2008. And I want to lean more towards 2008. Talking about the beginning of what would become my barber career. Right? So, check it. 2007 or 8. I want to say 8. Let's say 2008. Let's just pick one. Say 2008. I started an apprenticeship at this barbershop called, and I've probably said some of this before in podcasts way back, but I want to visit there again because there's a point I want to make. So I started this apprenticeship at this barbershop / salon called Hair Designs by Toby. Right? I had just finished going to barber school full time and fell out with the owner and one of the instructors there. That was a black establishment. Go figure. Yeah, it got kind of crazy. So, shout out to the legacy of James Blow, though. I'm not gonna say that he wasn't a good brother. I'm not gonna say I didn't learn anything there. In fact, I remember when I first started that barber school. Just to touch on that real quick, I remember my first day. They had us doing, because as a barber, you're learning some of the cosmetology side too. And just like in cosmetology class, they kind of touch on the barber side as well. Only we don't go as deep into theirs and vice versa. So my first day there at Genesis Beauty and Barber School, we learned how to do a finger wave. And I took to it pretty good. And I remember Mr. Blow talking to the instructor that I, kind of fell out with. I think her name was Audrey or Maud or some sort of old school name or something like that. And I remember he said to her, and they looked at my way, he was like, "Oh, he gonna be bad. He gonna be bad." And I mean bad as in good. He gonna be bad. He gonna be bad, boy. You know what I'm saying? I was just, I ain't gonna lie, that kind of put the battery in my back. It actually made me want to work harder. Just a little bit more about that. I've said this probably 1,000 times way in the past. When I ended up moving to this side of the water, because I was seeing a young lady on that side, which is Norfolk across the water. But then we broke up. I came over to this side of the water, where I'm currently at now, on this side of the water, Newport News. Anyway, so once I moved to Newport News, I wasn't driving or nothing, so I had to catch the bus there. Right? So I'll catch one bus in front of the Wawa, which would take me to the terminal. Right? And then from the terminal, that bus would take me through the tunnel, over the water, not over the water, but through the tunnel, across the water, to Norfolk, and then I would get off at that station, catch another bus, and that would take me to school. And each and every time I would get there earlier than everybody else who had vehicles. And none of that stopped. So fast forward back to Hair Designs by Toby. I'm working there, and that was a bit of a challenge because it was a Latin barbershop / salon. So I had all kinds of barriers. I had to become, not that I hadn't cut it before, but I had to become more familiar with cutting, straight hair. So they have different textures of hair. And some Latinos have hair that's just like ours. I suppose their hair texture varies just like ours does. So I had to learn that, the different textures and whatnot, and the different styles. I also had to learn some Spanish because there was a language barrier. Now the owner, Toby, is a New Yorican. I believe she's actually from Puerto Rico as well. And she took me under her wing. I'll give her that. She would later come work for me in my own establishment, but that's another story. So she took me under her wing. You know what I mean? She was tough. She wasn't always the easiest person to deal with, but I learned a lot from her. I learned enough Spanish to, put some money in my pocket. How's that? ¿Qué tú quieres? La uno? Like, y arriba? La cuatro. Okay, cool. And then for the edge up in the back, ¿qué tú quieres? ¿Cuadrado o redondo? Redondo. See? Right? And I forgot how much. ¿Cuánto? Is it cuánto? I can't remember. It was a while ago. And I kind of see why, certain things, if you don't keep up with it, you lose it. But anyway, so I ended up getting licensed there. And I'm going to get to the point, I promise. I'm going to get to the point, I promise. I ended up becoming a licensed barber. I worked there for 2 years, and while I was there, I became licensed, right? And, okay, so once I became licensed, as far as I was concerned, I considered myself a professional because now I got a piece of paper, that backed that up, right? And fuck the paper. It's not about the paper per se. It's about having gone through all the motions that I needed to go through to accomplish this, right? It was about getting there. It was about doing all the little things and all this little shit. I had to learn this technique so that I could pass the state board exam. There's two parts. There's the practical and then the theory. Of course, the practical is when you actually cut hair. And then the theory, excuse me, is when, you answer questions. And questions were weird and hard, by the way. So basically, you just answered, whichever one was closest to the right one. So the paper represents all the bullshit you go through. It's more than just a piece of paper. It's kind of like when you make a lot of money and you've been working hard. It's not just money. You worked for that. So I worked for that certification. It meant something. But some people accomplish getting their license, accomplish various things in life, right? And then become complacent. And if I must toot my own horn, I did not. Toby ended up selling that shop to some other Latino, I believe it was a Mexican cat who was not into the hair business. He was a fisherman. He made a lot of changes, so soon I decided I was going to leave. And listen, I had thought about leaving Hair Designs by Toby a lot sooner, but I was and still am of the belief that you get a little bit more respect when you show up at another barbershop or at another barbershop and you're licensed already. Instead of showing up saying, yeah, I went to school, but I don't have no license yet, which is crazy. There's a lot of barbers who do that. They go to school, but they don't go to the next step and complete the whole shit and go to state board and get licensed. I refuse to be one of them ones. I've never been one of them ones. I follow through with the shit. Because sometimes it comes down to how bad do you want it. And a lot of barbers don't really want it that bad. So I ended up leaving there, and I ended up going to this shop called Tomorrow's Image. I'm sure some of y'all have heard me say this some years back. If you know the song, sing along. Right? So why am I saying this? I'm going to toot my horn a little bit. I'm saying this because anything in life that we want, we have to get used to the mundane and the boring shit. Because just because I was a licensed barber didn't mean I knew all the styles. It didn't mean that I could cut fast. And I don't mean fast like zip, zip, zip. But the faster you can get clients in and out determines how much money you make. So just because I was licensed did not necessarily mean that I was there. In fact, I was not there. By the time I went to Tomorrow's Image and was working with, now I'm working with brothers. I'm working with my people, our people, or, whatever. And my time wasn't good. Now, granted, toot my own horn once again, I was a much better barber than them already. And I had only been at this thing a good 2 years, professionally. Okay, I've been cutting ever since I was 15. But professionally, 2 years. I was better than them. But my time sucked. And not only that, but I hadn't yet developed my people skills. Like dealing with people. Like now I've got certain things that I'll bring up with certain people because I know that it'll spark, a pretty decent conversation. Some people, there's really nothing you can say because, different personalities. But for the most part, I know who and who not. I know who, how can I put this? I know how to come at folk. Okay, if that made any sense whatsoever. But I hadn't yet developed the people skills. But becoming a better barber, one who is detailed, I had to become obsessed with it. I had to become obsessed with doing, like I said, the mundane things. I developed a ritual that I stuck to. And the number one, I'm probably all over the place, but the number one fundamental thing that set me off on the right foot ever since Hair Designs by Toby and now Tomorrow's Image, the one fundamental thing that really kept me on my square, that really kept me, I would say, on an upward trajectory, was showing up on time. If you ever want to know, wow, I don't know, how do I start? How do I do it? Start by showing the fuck up on time. It may sound corny to some people, but I'm telling you, some of that old school shit works today. Still works. It still works, like respect. Showing respect to people, especially our elders. Listen, that's been going on since the 20s, probably way earlier than that. In fact, I'm sure of it. But it still slaps today. I'm saying all that about the mundane and getting used to those little things and having a ritual and becoming obsessed with it. There's a saying, right? There's a saying, a Zen saying. I'm starting to get to the point. Let's go, baby. Let's go. The saying is simple. Chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. Before I was a licensed barber, I was an apprentice. I chopped wood and carried water. I watched the other barbers. There's one Cuban dude that was an excellent barber. That was on the other side of that salon / barbershop. And then next to me was this Puerto Rican dude named Benny, who actually, see, a lot of us, kind of jumping the gun, but real quick about Toby's, real quick, and I'm going to get back to Tomorrow's Image. A lot of us branched off and ended up getting our own locations. Benny was one of the first to leave and get his. Excellent barber. I take nothing. In fact, I learned a lot from Benny. I learned a lot from Osnell. He was Puerto Rican. He was Cubano. I learned a lot from Toby herself, skill-wise. And listen, once I got good, a lot of them started to learn from me. Because when you watch people and start incorporating a lot of their techniques into yours, what happens is you start to develop. It's like one singer taking scats from one singer and take another ad lib from, say, James Brown, and then mix it on with his own brand of musicianship and artistry. From that comes this whole new sound. That's like, whoa, you kidding me? This is crazy. So that's what I developed, a whole new style. It was mine. You know? So chopping wood, carrying water was me asking questions. Well, some of them didn't speak English, so there wasn't a whole lot of questions I could ask. But I would watch them. What guard? You know what I'm saying? Or they're using the shears. You know what I mean? For straight hair, you got to use products in order to achieve a flat top. I learned that from working with the Latinos. So you can imagine by the time I got with the brothers, I was a beast. Because if I could make it there with the Latinos, language barrier and everything, please, this is nothing. But I'm saying so think of becoming licensed as enlightenment, if you will, an achievement, if you will. I chopped wood and carried water before that achievement. I chopped wood and carried water after that achievement. In other words, it's constant. You know what I'm saying? It's like meeting that one true love, quote unquote, if that exists. You know, when you courting them, I'll get back to tomorrow's. I'll get back to it. I'm just in my bag. When you courting a woman, or even if you've been with her a while, you know what I'm saying? Even if you've been with her a while, hold on. Even if you've been with her a while, okay, you meet her, you court her, tell her all the things she want to hear. You know, you're thoughtful, you're consistent with it. You're asking questions, you're getting to know her. What was your childhood like? You know what I'm saying? What's your relationship like with your father? What's your relationship like with your moms, your siblings? You know what I'm saying? What was your life like around this? Tell me about that time when you was out, you know, was on the streets doing whatever. And by the way, sidebar, if a person talks about what they've gone through at a particular moment in their life, and you start to ask them about it, they start to crawfish. Well, I'm not going to say don't trust them. That's not fair, because everybody develops at their own pace, and you just may have to chop wood and carry water in some other area or some other period of their lives. How about that? However, that's still the point. You ask questions, put in the work, call her, send her pictures, FaceTime, all this shit. Chop wood, carry water, and then once you bag her, you've already bagged her, but once things become official, and y'all are a thing, chop wood, carry water. Keep with the mundane, keep with the ritual, keep it going. You understand what I'm saying? It also, I'm going down several rabbit holes, but I promise I'll get back to tomorrow's image, because I'm gonna go somewhere with it, right? So, since we're already on relationships, why not? So you meet this woman, and say either you or the woman wants to make things official. There's another saying that comes to mind. It's called, and I mentioned it last episode, watch pot don't boil. Now, the saying is a watched pot don't boil, but watch pot don't boil just slaps better. You know what I mean? It sounds delicious even. So think of putting a pot of water on the stove. Now, when you sit there and you watch this pot of water, and you sit there waiting for it to boil, shit, it takes forever to boil. In fact, it seems like it ain't gonna boil. You know what I mean? So instead, make a life, build a bond, keep doing little things. You see what I'm saying? Keep with the mundane, the boring shit. Keep getting to know them. Keep building it. Build it up so much, and now it's solid. Solid like a rock. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, before you look up, you've been so focused on building, getting better understandings, maybe, I don't know, just building a life. And next thing you know, you look and oh shit, the fucking water's boiling. Instead of sitting around, you know, damn, when the water gonna boil? I suppose it's all about that part. At least watch pot don't boil is about patience. Because as I've said before, I've said this. But if you look at the views, not a lot of people seen it anyway, right? So if you think about it, patience is more than just waiting. It's more than just waiting. I was just telling somebody this not too long ago. And look, and in exchange for that nugget of wisdom, I got the saying back in return. Watch pot don't boil. Man, what a dope exchange. Point is, like I was saying, patience is more than just waiting. Right? And if you were to say, well, what is it? Well, I would imagine patience isn't, well, shit, come on, man. Damn, like, really? Like, come on, hey, I'm about to leave, man. So, yeah, you waited, but your attitude while you waited was shitty. So patience isn't about waiting, it's your attitude while you wait. If you bitching and got a shitty attitude, then that's not even being patient. That's called being impatient. You know what I'm saying? And damn near obnoxious. Watch pot don't boil. In the meantime, I can almost tie those both things in together. I can tie them together. In the meantime, chop wood, carry water. You got to chop wood and carry water once the water starts to boil anyway, if you catch my meaning. If you catch my meaning. All right. Just needed to get that off. I feel so much lighter. All right. Back to tomorrow's image. I would work at tomorrow's image again. And I remember when I started to really chop wood and carry water there. I started to come in because, see, the shop was closed. Tomorrow's image was closed on Sundays and Mondays. Pierce for 3, right? And instead of being off at home in my skivvies, I was in the shop. At first, they gave me a little bit of shit at first. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let me know before you show. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let y'all know before I decide to show up for work. I'm not doing that. I will go in, punch the code, whatever. And then it got to the point to where, you know, they respected it. Like, hey, the brother trying to get his money up. That was me turning it up a notch. I decided, what am I going to do different so I can build my clientele? See, not only am I working on my time, because like I said, the quicker you can get them in and out, and I'm talking about proficiently get them in and out. I ain't talking about that. See, I'm not a hustler. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not a hustler. A hustler, when they get you in, get you out, get that money as fast as they can. No, that's not what I do, man. That's not what I do. You can't deliver a genuine experience that people can feel if you rushing through it. All kind of sayings going on. It's all kind of sayings in the air right now. You know that saying? And people, damn, I can't even think of it. It's right there. People don't care how much you know. Never mind. I can't even think of it. But anyway, that's when I decided to take things up a notch and build up my clientele. So I wanted to build up my time. I wanted to build up my clientele because what's the use in being faster in doing these haircuts if I ain't got no clients to cut like that? You know, I got things I want to do, places I want to go. I got livelihood, you know, and at the time, while I was there, I ended up getting married and she had kids. You know, my sons came to live with me. A lot of stuff was going on a personal level as well. But that was when I decided to really start carrying more water and chopping more wood. I was there for 3 years. And listen, on those Sundays and on those Mondays, a lot of those people are still with me to this day. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I ain't saying I would show up on Sunday and Monday and I was just booming, but I would get me about a good 4 or 5 people, which ain't bad. That's not bad for a barber who's not necessarily established, who's trying to get established. Because, see, that's chopping wood, carrying water is all about repetition. Cutting and cutting and cutting. And then as you do it the right way, the right steps, you understand what I'm saying? Not trying to cut off fat. I'm talking about getting around the ears. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of barbers wouldn't lay the chair back. You know what I mean? Barbers ain't never laid they fucking chair back. They ain't never did this and shaved their client. They ain't never did that. Instead what they would do, and a lot of them still do, they would just have their client hold their head up like that, and they would shave them under there and this, that, and the third. No. I always wanted to deliver an experience. I lay you back in the chair. Hot lather. Hot towel. Fuck we talking about, man. Fuck we talking about. I developed all of those things to where people couldn't wait to sit in my chair. This is real shit. Listen, if you were to go and talk to these people, and if they could remember, and they wasn't any feelings about something, they tell you, yeah. My name was Eddie at the time. Don't go around them saying Rashidi, because they don't know Rashidi. I mean, they do, but then they don't. I was on it, and not. Well, I'm a toot my own horn. Fuck it, I work for that. A lot of them, I'm sure they were not surprised when I got my own location. Yeah, man, I became obsessed. I would think about certain haircuts that I didn't feel 100% about. I would think about them and think, what could I have done better than me? I became obsessed with it. What could I have done better to make that haircut really pop? I wanted folk to be like, yo, where you get your haircut? Hey, yo, Eddie cut my shit. That's what I wanted. I wanted a whole experience. I had a fall out there too, because remember I said I hadn't developed my people skills. Now, that's one thing those barbers at Tomorrow's Image did have over me. They did have that over me. They had people skills, because they were not as detailed and as good a barber as me. Right? That's my opinion. And listen, just like every rapper swear they're the best rapper, some of them barbers, one of them is no longer among us. Rest in peace to Queens, Chris Herring. May he rest well. Let me I'm chill. Yeah, let me grab another water. Hold on, y'all. But yeah, a lot of them could say that, that they were better than me, that they were the best barbers. So that's what's up. And they should. They should say that. So yeah, I ended up falling out. Matter of fact, that's who I fell out with. I fell out with Queens. And I called him Queens because that's where he's from. He passed away some years ago. In fact, the original theme song for Hoodies, I say in the end, rest in peace to the God Queens. We was mad cool, but we ended up falling out. When you spend a lot of time around people working every day, you bound to kind of bump heads, and that's all that was. You know what I'm saying? Because right after that, we was cool again. That shit didn't last. That was my guy. Again, may he rest well. Shout out to his family, his son, so on and so forth. His cousin, who used to work at there was more than one Tomorrow's Image. He worked at the other one. Anyway. So I fell out because me in Queens got into it, and I had already gotten. I was a little messy there. From keep it honest, and hold myself accountable. Because see, most of my thing was I was a great barber. I'm getting some traction, clientele, My speed is up. I'm laying them back, putting them in a chair. Listen, I got eyes. I got ears. I can hear people saying, "Oh wow, damn, he got a lather and a hot towel." I could see the look on the barber's faces when I did that. I could see the clients looking over. I could see that. So I was full of myself. See, I thought that since I was the better barber, that I should have been the manager. I never voiced that, but I just thought that I would have made a better manager because I was a better barber, which means I made the actual manager's job not so easy. You understand? And it wasn't until I opened my own location that I realized how stupid that was. Cutting hair has nothing to do with managerial skills. And if I must say so, Brother Artie managed that place extremely well. I didn't realize that until I had my own location with people to manage myself. Oh, okay. I get it. Because here I am, great barber. Now I'm a shop owner. I ain't got nothing to do with managing people. You know what I'm saying? So again, I did all of those things at Tomorrow's Image. I improved my time. I added things to my repertoire, like the hot towel and the lather. I started to add different things to my repertoire, which set me apart from a lot of barbers. I'm sure there's a lot of barbers who do it. But it's been my experience, and I've been doing this for quite a while. It's been my experience that not a lot of them do. And if they do, they don't do it for every client. So that was me chopping wood and carrying water. I leave there, I land on my feet at my own location. Right? Still grinding. I opened up October 2013. Didn't get my first barber till April 2014. There's a whole lot of shop owners who depend on their barbers and stylists to pay their overhead. Since I didn't get my first barber till the following year, that means I had to maintain that. And I had enough clientele to do it. However, because I ended up leaving Tomorrow's Image abruptly because of the situation with me and Queens, we fell out. So my departure there was abrupt, which means it took a hot little minute for a lot of my clients to catch on to where I was, and they wasn't telling them. And I'm not quite sure I blame them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not quite sure I blame them. So in the meantime, I'm promoting, already had my own business, but now I got my own location now. I'm using everything, social media. I think I was even still making flyers, cards, little flags out front. I would draw on the windows. Then I finally got a sign to put up on the building: chopping wood, carrying water. Every step of the way. I think y'all kind of get the point here. I think, and so I'm saying all this to say that, again, you can use that Zen saying or phrase or concept, whatever you want to call it, toward a lot of things. Like one of my goals in the gym is to get to a point to where I can do some muscle ups. You know what I'm saying? But let me tell you something, man. The journey is hard. The process is hard. And like I said in one of my reels, let me tell you something. The process is not pretty at all, man. In fact, she's one of the ugliest broads you would ever meet. But she's beautiful, though. In order to get to a level to where I can do muscle ups, I got to get stronger wrists. There's so many. I'm learning every day things that I need to learn how to do first before I even get to a. First of all, I need to at least be able to do, according to my trainer, of course, 12 pull-ups clean before I can even think about doing that shit. I have to strengthen my wrist. Did you know that there were wrist exercises? Did you know that there were wrist stretches? Did you? Dead hang is good for the wrist. I'm learning stuff every day. Listen, it's all those little things, all the details. In fact, I hope it takes forever. Like, granted, don't get me wrong, I'm starting to see results. You know what I mean? I'm starting to see results in my shoulders. I don't know what they call that. These are pecs and quads, and I'm starting to see definition. But that didn't happen overnight either. It's about that boring shit. Just the consistency, just doing the same shit over and over again. And becoming one with it. Becoming one with it. Chop wood, carry water. And just like getting my own location, skill, right? The work never stopped. The work is still going on. Of course, I'm not at that location no more. I'm here at the suite. And listen, I'm so established, it's crazy, but I'm still chopping wood and carrying water. You know what I'm saying? Find me a client that came to their appointment and I wasn't there because I wasn't on time or left early. Those same fundamentals that I started out with in the beginning of my barber career, I still do to this very fucking day. To this very fucking day. Show up on time. Start there. Show the fuck up. Show the fuck up on time. Show up. So show the fuck up on time and show up. And by the way, the people skills I would develop when I opened up my own location. That's when I had to, because you're dealing with different people, different personalities. Some of them ain't gonna take certain tones. Some of them you have to talk to them in a certain tone so that you can put the battery in their back and get them to move and do things. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's different. I had to learn that. And then some people, there's just no. You know what I mean? It's just no talking to them. You know what I'm saying? Throughout the years, I've had some characters there, but it was a beautiful ride. But I'm happy being here in the suite. You know what I mean? Still chopping wood, carrying water. That's my message here today. Become used to the ritual. You know what I mean? Start with showing up on time, and then show up for yourself first and foremost, and get used to that. All those little things, all those and see, mundane happens when something happens over and over again. And I'm saying boring because it can seem boring. Get used to the boring. That's where you build. You keep working and working and working, whether it's in the gym, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in healing. Shit, even in healing. Shit, just because you fucking healed through some shit, that don't mean you can't still be triggered. Shit, heal just means you're now aware. Life doesn't necessarily get easier. You've just got better clarity now. Now you know what triggers you. It don't stop. You still gotta put in that work. The diet is still necessary. Food, company you keep, what you read. What do you do when ain't nobody around? You chopping wood and carrying water? It's the little shit that gets us over the top. And then even when you get over the top, guess what? Chop wood and carry water. Before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Even with these podcasts, I've been chopping wood and carrying water for, it's all good. I'm so, and then in my big age now, I'm in my 50s, fam. I feel great. Let me just say that. I feel fucking great. I feel great, man. And by the way, every station, and I mean every station that was in the old location in Skill, every station I put together I had no power tools at the time. I still don't have no power tools, but I got better tools. But at the time, I had no. This is what I had. This screwdriver. I should frame it. This very screwdriver, I put together every station. It's got that almost that ratchet type of action going on. Wrist hurting. Put together every station. I put in work at that location. I put in work here too. I've been chopping wood and carrying water for years. But like I was saying, at this big age, that's just I'm becoming a lot more patient in a lot of areas. More patient than what I've ever been. You know what I'm saying? Like for a hot little minute, I've been saying that fools rush in. You know what I mean? And listen, I ain't losing no sleep over nothing. I ain't about to be forced to do a goddamn thing I ain't ready to do. Patient. I don't need to be. I'm building. I'm building. I'm building life. I'm building me. You understand what I'm saying? I'm chopping wood and carrying water. You know what I'm saying? Always and forever. Even now. And it was something I was about to say, but it escapes me now. But I think I made my point, though. I made my point. And, of course, I didn't mention the Skill Youth Chess Club. I formed that in 2015. I was inspired largely in part by the Million Man March, the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, which changed my life. That changed everything. Entrepreneurship, the Million Man March, all of those, it changed everything. I transformed to someone who went along with things just because I had been told some stuff years ago. I actually started to pick up books and read and read. And then yeah, a lot of things changed. Entrepreneur really helped me to realize that nobody's going to do this for you. You know what I mean? You're going to branch out on your own. It's all on you. And that Million Man March had me chopping wood, carrying water. It took me from believing certain things that I've been told. It took me from being the type of brother who talked about, you know, the youth and how they ain't got no respect. And this, that, and the third. But yet, I went from that guy to a brother who actually started a mentoring program because I decided that I wanted to do something about it. Fuck I look like as a man with sons myself. What I look like. Not playing my part. What I look like. What you look like. I get it. Little sidebar. I get it. It's Black History Month and I get it. They're talking about taking down certain historical things, you know, in regards to the plight of black folk. And I ain't gonna get too deep in it. I'm just remembering that now because I had a client who said, well, you know, they're trying to take away the museum, the Black History Museum, and he took down these black things depicting slavery and whoop-de-whoop. And of course, my stance is, see, when I was a kid, we had Encyclopedia Britannicas. You know what I'm saying? I don't think no statue or museum or anything depicting the plight of black people, I don't think any of that pushes us forward or backward. I think if anything, it just gives us some shit to do, some shit to talk about. Dead ass. Because at the end of the day, listen, if there's a museum or something, we didn't build it. So how fragile are we as a community if they can tear something down or do away with something and, they setting us back? especially when it's our responsibility as black folk to teach our babies and one another if folk are willing to learn and listen and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness. Chop wood and carry water, nigga. Dead ass. Chop wood and carry water. Put in the work. Keep putting in the work. Scoop up some kids and teach them something. Just start with hey man, hey, give them a jewel that you learned. Let's give them jewels that we learned. But yeah, I think I made my point. I think I'm beating a dead horse now. And word, and here I am, still a barber, successful in my own right. I've put people on. Not that I have to prove anything to anyone, but I'm just reflecting now. I guess I'm tooting my own horn. And listen, a lot of barbers went on to do better things. Some of them didn't. You know? Yeah. And yeah. That's all I gotta say about that, man. So in closing, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Word. Word, it's getting late. I'm gonna get up out of here. And let's start this editing process. But real quick, let me see if there's anything I may have forgotten to mention. You know what I'm saying? Anything I may have forgotten to mention, something to bring up. Yeah. Shout out to my second born son. See, my second born son has become a certified trainer. You see him all on the gram doing his workouts and this, that, and the third. But yo, he just got his first client. And I'm so happy for him. You know, he really, man, I'm so happy for him. Shout out to my second born on your first client, man. I believe in you. Shout out to all my sons. Hey, listen, I believe in all of them, all of y'all. You know, I love all of you. I'm proud of all of y'all. But I want to point out an accomplishment for my second born son who stuck with it. He developed a curriculum. Man, he stuck with it. He really stuck with it when I'm sure folk around him was telling him, man, why don't you, hey, man, what the fuck is you doing? You know, but he stayed with it, chopping wood, carrying water. You know what I'm saying? And I pray that he keeps with that. You know? Word. What else, man? What else? I think I'm about done. Let's be done with it. So real quick before I get out of here, shout out to everybody who's got a born day today. I salute you. Hold up. Had to get a proper salute. Today is your day. New life, more life. I don't care if you're fresh out the womb or you've been here a while. Enjoy your born day. Yeah, man, all that good stuff. And also, shout out to everybody who's going through a thing. We're going through some trying times out here in this world. You know what I'm saying? Within ourselves, within our homes, within the neighborhoods we live in, the society, the government, whatever, with one another. And listen, for everybody who's going through a thing and yet you still manage to show up. I've been saying that for quite some time. You still manage to show up. That's the biggest part. Show up on time. Show up. And for that, I salute you. Because, listen, it's so easy to say, fuck it. I'm going to take myself out of here. Which, if I'm being honest, I get it. Suicide is a pretty serious thing, man. It's a pretty serious thing. But if I'm being honest, I'm of the belief that suicide is selfish. It's selfish. You know, especially if you are a parent. Anybody who have people who count on you, or just people who simply love you. It's selfish. I get it, but it's selfish. You know what I'm saying? But listen, forget what I think, forget what I am of the belief of. If you feel that way, if you feeling as though you don't want to be here anymore, I strongly encourage you to dial 988. You know what I'm saying? I salute you and thank you in advance. Word. Yeah, man. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody who's interacting with my content. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments, so on and so forth. It's mostly the shorts, but once again, I'll take it any way I can. Thank you, man. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for pulling up the hoodies. And I'm gonna get out of here, man. It's getting late. So thank you for watching. See you next time. I'm the God Rashidi, and this is Hoodies, man. Peace. Hey, this is Hoodies.